call yourself a man? You know you're a lying, low-life, motherfucking gambling degenerate prick. You know that's what you are?
Well, hello, you degenerate fucks, and welcome to the Degenerate Gambler. It is Thursday, the 13th of January. Just here with the another episode, going over last week's bets, looking ahead to this week. I fucked up with a knob again. I forgot to text people, but I promise I'll try and get a knob sorted for next week. As I say, it's January, you know. It's like you're getting back into normal way of life, work, all that shit, and I just haven't got around to it. So apologies about that, but I have picked bets this week. Like I said last week, it does look like that sort of spate we had of games being called off has subsided. There is still some games being called off, but not to the level that there was. I mean, the Leicester game was, I think it was meant to be last night, was called off. But most other leagues, Championship, lower leagues in England and stuff, most games have been going ahead. Say there's no games postponed at the minute at the weekend when I was looking through them, but I mean that could change. But I do have one or two reserve sort of picks that if the games are called off, I have another team to sort of slot in. I'm not gonna. Usually I would place the bets today and have it done down the road, but I'm just gonna wait. I'll probably do it on Friday and then release them again on Saturday. But I'm sort of holding off there just in case any are called off. So anyway, looking at last week's bets. So last week my main bet it looked okay for a while. Keighley Hearts was an early game, that was up. They won 3-1, I think. Leicester won, Tranmere won, Oxford and Gateshead both. I think Gateshead drew and Oxford were beaten. So 3 out of the 5, they're not great. But I did have a winner, although it was a reduced winner. My overs bet, so Wigan and Blackburn was over 2. Port Vale Brentford, Peterborough Bristol Rovers were all up, and then the other 2 were postponed, but not for COVID reasons. And I actually said I didn't do the bets until Saturday morning. I actually picked them, and nothing was postponed, or well, nothing that was called off for COVID. But both of these 2 games, which was Colchester Rochdale and Oldham Sutton, I think were called off for waterlogged pitches. So like, there's nothing you can really do about that. I really did fancy both those games, to be honest with you, to be over 2. Both those teams scoring freely. So that was a bit of a disappointment, but at the same time, it got me like £35, so it basically paid for my weekend's gambling. So that's never a bad thing if you get a free weekend. But I did an early bet that wasn't great either. It was actually quite poor. Some of the early games, they didn't go the way they probably should have. I did also win £20 odd. It was £22 on horses. Now, I never really put horse bets up. I very rarely do them. But I've said this before. There's a guy I follow, Matt Brocklebank. He's a guy who works for Sporting Life, and he picks for most of the big meetings value bets, sort of, you know, bigger prices, a lot of them each way and stuff. But sometimes I'll follow his bets because when I do betting horses, I don't like to back favourites because I don't put big money on. I'll sometimes do, you know, $2.50 each way on a big price horse, or like I did at the weekend. I did I think it was like a 20p each way lucky 15 that I was able to get 2 selections up of. But that was so he ended up picking, what did he pick? He picked one winner and one place, and then one was also void because it was a non-runner. So that was kind of the same as the way the Lucky 15 works. You sort of get an extra double or so in there and a treble. Because you put it against the non-runner, so you have 3 places instead of 2 because one was a non-runner, and it's just it opens up a wee bit. But anyway, it was a £5 bet. I got £22 back. Wasn't too bad. So again, that put me at a wee small profit for the weekend. The late night bet on Saturday afternoon, I had Chesterfield to get over a card against Chelsea. They only got 1. Everton Hull over 2s was up. Dortmund Frankfurt, what was that? I had that over 2s, that was up. Both to score in the Granada Barca game, that was up. And Madrid Valencia, both to score, that was up. And what beat me there was fucking Southampton and Swansea in the FA Cup. I had it over 2s. It was 1 each, and it ended up 3-2 to Southampton after extra time, which is annoying. But anyway, the Chelsea game would have beat that anyway, but went quite well with that one. So before we go on to this week's picks, I always review the amount of favourites that won. And with the FA Cup, obviously you have to take this with a bit of a pinch of salt, because there's a lot of games there that are teams are 1-11, 1-6, 1-5. There was a few shocks. I actually thought about that. That might be a bet to do. Maybe the third round's the only round you can really do it. Maybe it's gone for this season. But something to maybe look at next year was try and bang out a few, pick out a few gems of big teams to get beat. You probably could have had Cambridge to beat Newcastle, the form they're in. Kidderminster to beat Reading, the form they're in. Both, Kidderminster in good form in the National League North, and Reading in bad form in the Championship. I think I looked at those two. If you did those two at a £5 double, you'd have got like £110 back. I'm not sure the 4th round draw. If there is a couple of giant killings possibilities, might be worth a couple of pound. But anyway, so we'll get into these. So in the FA Cup, there was 30 games in total, 14 favourites, 8 draws, and 8 outsiders. In League 1, there was only 6 games. There was 3 favourites, 3 draws, no outsider. League 2, 5 games, 3 favourites, no draws, and 2 outsiders. In the National League, there was 6 games. It was 3 favourites, 3 draws, no outsiders. So in total, that was 47, which is a bit less than usual. Usually we get around about 50 or so. And there was 23 winners, 14 draws, which is quite high, and 10 outsiders. So it's 40. It's basically 50%. 23 is basically half of 47. So to me, that's low, because, like I say, a lot of those games you couldn't have bet because there was no money to be made on it. I say a lot of teams, Premier League teams playing lower league teams. City played Swindon, was it? They were like 1-25 or something. So I'll look through a couple of the results now just to give you an idea of some of the prices. I'm in the wrong league. Sorry. Give me 2 seconds. Yeah, Saturday FA Cup. So Bournemouth 2-5. Chelsea were like 1-10. Peterborough 2-5. So let me see Sunday. Sunday FA Cup. Luton 1-3. Liverpool 2-11. Spurs 1-11. So look, it wasn't going to be a day we were going to make a lot of money if you backed a lot of short price favourites, So to me, that 23 isn't really a fair number because a lot of them should have won. So to me, it was a low week in percentage ways of teams that won games. So that's anyway, as I say, right, no nap. So I'll just get on to my picks. I haven't done the decimal odds on these, so if you're a guy who likes decimal, I'm sorry, you'll have to work them out for yourselves. So, first team on the list for me is Middlesbrough. Middlesbrough are at home to Reading, who I just mentioned recently there are in terrible form. League ways, they are just above the relegation zone. Form ways, 5 points, they're 18th. Middlesbrough third in form. But Middlesbrough's home record, they've won their last 3 at home. Reading lost their last 2 away, including getting beat at Kidderminster. They lost to West Brom. They had 1-2 before that, but also Middlesbrough, the last 5 times they played, they drew in 2020. Middlesbrough beat them the 4 times before that. So, and Middlesbrough, as I say, on the up and up, looking good. Third in form in the league, doing quite well. Next team is Mansfield. Mansfield in quite good form as well. So Mansfield are at home to Walsall, and they're even money. Mansfield currently sitting 8th in the league, Walsall 15th. But in form, Mansfield have won their last 5, so they're top of the form table. And Walsall are 13th. Oh, just before I go on, sorry, I didn't give the Middlesbrough price there. 8 to 15 at home to Reading. So going back to Mansfield, in their last 5 at home, they've won 4, get beat 1, which was actually by Middlesbrough. And Walsall lost their last 3 away. So I think even money there is a really, pretty big price. Third team is a team I backed last week. Don't score a lot of goals most of the time, but pretty good at home, pretty good thing, and that's Tranmere. Tranmere are at home to Rochdale. Currently, Tranmere sitting second in both the table and the form table. Rochdale 12th on form. Home form, Tranmere won 4 out of 5. Rochdale lost their last 2. A draw and 2 wins were the previous games before that. The only thing slightly concerning here was the last time they played, and that was 2019, which is pushing on 2-3 years ago. The last 2 times they played, Rochdale beat them. But again, that's a different Rochdale team and that's a different Tranmere team. So Tranmere are 23 to 20. Again, better than evens, just slightly better than evens. So I think that's a pretty good, pretty solid selection. As I say, with Tranmere, they don't score a lot of goals. They did win 4-0 against Scunthorpe recently, but a lot of 1 each, 1-0, 1-0, 2-0. At home, as I say, they beat Scunthorpe 4-0, but then 2-0, they get beat 2-1, 1-0, and then a 2-1. There's a lot of 1 and 2 goal games. So I don't expect it to be a high scoring game. But hopefully Tranmere can get the win there. Next is Wigan. Wigan currently flying in the league, doing pretty well. Against Doncaster, they are away to Doncaster. Wigan currently 4th, Doncaster rock bottom. Wigan 3rd in form, Doncaster 3rd from bottom. Away form, so Doncaster, I'll go to Doncaster's home form. So they lost their last 2, they won the game before that, and they lost 2 again. Wigan won their last 3 away, and they drew in the cup, and they won the one before that. So pretty good away form. And also Wigan have beat them the last 4 times they played home and away, including the last 2 away. Wigan are 1-2, which is a low price, but it's a team away from home. The price could be better for it being away from home. If that was probably Wigan at home, they'd probably be 2-5, 1-3 maybe. So 1-2 I'm happy with. And then lastly is Chesterfield. Chesterfield are away to Barnet. Currently they're 4-7. When you look at the table, Chesterfield sitting second, Barnet 15th. Chesterfield, they're only 6th in form, 11 points. Barnet actually have picked up form. They're on 8 points from the last 5. Chesterfield, 3rd best away record in the league, plays Barnet, who have a pretty poor, mediocre mid-table home record. In the last 5, Barnet had 3 wins, but the last 2 games, they drew their last game and they were beat the game before that. So recent form, not that great. Chesterfield, their last game away was against Chelsea, so they lost that, but then they won the 3 before that. Now, I'd say I'm going to say this anyway, even though it's not going in it. But if one of those drops out, at the minute only one bookie's offering odds on Chesterfield. I don't know if that's just because it's so early or whatever, or they know something I don't, that it's going to be postponed. But if one of the teams drops out, I have City there. City are at home to Chelsea, and they're about 7-10 or something. Just a bit better than 1-2. It is an early game, but I would fancy City at home against anybody. So hopefully I don't have to use it, because those are my first 5 selections and I'm happy with them. In total, let me see. In total, that comes out to about 15-1. So 10 on that's going to pay 160. It's not bad. I'm happy enough with it. And that's what I'm saying. When you're picking the likes of a 1-2 or a 4-7, or there's an 8-15 in there, it can't affect the odds obviously. But when you've got an evens and a 23-20 in there, 2 sort of even money shots will bump up your winnings. So that's that one. Next is the overs bet. It's just teams who score, as we know. It's current form, stuff like that. So the 5 games are Burnley Leicester 10-11, Fleetwood Rochdale 4-5, Accrington Stanley Sunderland 9-10, Wimbledon Morecambe 17-20, Portfield Swindon 23-20, and that one comes out at about 25-1. So pretty decent there as well. So that's basically it for the bets. The next week, midweek, there's not loads on in every league, but there's a small amount of games on most leagues. So on Tuesday night, there's 2 Premier League games, 2 Championship, 4 League 1, 5 League 2, 2 National League, 4 German Cup games, 2 Italian Cup games, 5 in the SPL, and 2 La Liga games. So enough for a bet. And then Wednesday, very similar, 2 in the Premier League, 2 in the Championship, French League 1, there's 3, 4 German Cup, 2 Italian Cup, 3 La Liga, and 3 Copa del Rey. So again, it's not full fixture lists, but it's enough to get a bet. So anyway, that's basically it for this week. Just leaves me to say, if you are doing a bet, good luck and happy punting.
Here, get the fuck out of here. Here, thanks. Let me find out you fucked up. I'll leave you wherever I find you.